Welcome to Shippo Service Hours. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, this is our bi-monthly session where we connect you guys with our shipping experts to get you connected onto what's the best way to onboard, what's the best way to get started, and we'll walk you through the entire Shippo process. Real quick, my name's Jen. I'm from the marketing team at Shippo, and I'm joined here by Sergio and Malcolm from sales. I'm actually going to pause here and ask each one of you to do a quick intro. So I'll start with you, Sergio.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Sergio. So I work here at Shippo in the sales department with Malcolm. I typically help any type of customer, small, medium, large. I do have a background in tech sales, more specifically with a platform that is very similar to Shippo as far as an aggregator, but with business travel. But I've been here for about 7 months and have grown with Shippo, have learned a lot, and feel like I almost need to create my own e-commerce platform because I've established myself as somewhat of an expert in the space. So I'm excited to connect with everybody today.
Thanks. And Malcolm?
Yeah, my name is Malcolm. Work here with Jen and Sergio. My background is in e-commerce. Before joining the team at Shippo, I was at Walmart e-commerce. So I've seen sort of the space from the very large end. And then also too, personally, I run my own e-commerce business, very small, on eBay and on my Shopify store. So I know the space. I've been actually in the exact place of a customer, just getting started, not knowing what kind of boxes to use. We'll get into that later, and how to even get started. So I've been in your shoes, and I think I know a little bit more than I did that day. So hopefully I can depart some of that knowledge on you guys too.
Thank you so much, you guys. Before we dive into it, just a few housekeeping notes. If you guys have any questions that you want to ask, please submit them to the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. And then if you have any trouble with connecting, logistical issues, just enter them in the chat and I'll get them resolved while we're going through the presentation, okay? And if you're experiencing any audio issues, sometimes it helps just to log out and log back in, and that'll typically do the trick. Okay, so I'm actually gonna transition this back to Malcolm to talk about exactly what does Shippo do at a high level? So I'll toss that over.
Yeah, so at a high level, Shippo is a order management platform that connects to all of the major e-commerce platforms and gives you access to discounted rates across 55 plus carriers. Or we connect with 55 plus carriers and give you access to discounted rates. Within that too, we have great functionality that you pass along to your customers, like tracking orders, as well as automating and making returns hassle-free and simple for yourself and your customers. So if you think about it, everything that happens after the customer purchases an item, Shippo comes into play and makes that smooth and simple for both you and your customers.
Awesome. So at the beginning, once you sign up, you probably have a ton of questions around, well, what's the first thing I should do? So Sergio, most people when they start want to know, how do I go about choosing my packaging?
Thanks, Jen. Yeah, this one is great. This is really the first step in the entire process. And this one, it's interesting. So it's really going to depend on a lot of things. I think really the first thing you want to look at is what exactly is your business model? What are you selling specifically? Because that is going to dictate what it is that you use for your packaging. If you have a very simple product line, or maybe you have a flagship item and there's not going to be a big variance, of course, your life is going to be very easy. But if you have a store with 400, 500 different items and there's so many different combinations, of course, you want to have your options there. So I think you really want to think about a few things here. You want to think about what it is that you're selling. Do these items need to be packaged securely? Do these items need to travel swiftly? Can they go ground? Do they need to be overnight? These are some of the things that you really have to think about when you're choosing your packaging. And of course, just a general rule of thumb here is about size and weight. So regardless of what you're selling, you always want to minimize the amount of space you're taking, because this is going to dictate your pricing and what you're paying for shipping. So when you're determining your packaging, whatever it is that you're shipping out, you want to make sure that these items are secure and that whatever they're going out in is minimizing the space. So some items may or may not require a box. I do speak to a lot of clients who happen to ship items in boxes and they pay X amount of shipping. But on the other side, they can be utilizing poly mailers, they can be utilizing bags to really minimize that cost. And the most important thing here is taking that first step and reaching out to companies like Shippo, speaking to somebody like Malcolm, speaking to somebody like myself, who's an expert who can guide you to be able to figure out what it is that you need to utilize for packaging. And of course, packaging, we are not, we do have a lot of options. So we don't have any restrictions. If you want to provide your own materials, if you want to go to Amazon, if you want to utilize Uline, you can use those types of packages. If you have custom packaging as well, or maybe you want to take advantage of some of the free items that USPS offers, that UPS offers, those are all options that are available. It will take a little bit to dial in what is going to be the best option, but over time you will soon learn that maybe I can go with poly mailers, maybe I can go with flat rate boxes, but there are a lot of moving parts there.
And then for me, Sergio, what is poly mailers?
So poly mailers are essentially bags. They are almost envelopes. You can call them bags, envelopes. They're typically padded. These items are usually known for, a lot of masks, clothing, things of that nature that are thin, that don't exactly require too much safety, that aren't fragile. Those are poly mailers. So a lot of clothing lines, t-shirts, hats typically utilize things like that.
Awesome, thank you. So, once I've figured out essentially what box I need, how I want to mail it, the next thing I'm thinking of obviously is how do I get the best rate, or how do I get the best cost for shipping my materials? So I'm going to go back to you, Sergio. How do I go about approaching this?
Yeah, so this is another very crucial part of the puzzle here, because shipping sometimes can really remove from a company's bottom line. Sometimes a company sells a $10 product and shipping can be $10 and $15. At that point, for your customers, you put them in a very difficult position, because it's hard to justify paying for something like that. But it's really going to depend. And we do offer these resources, whether they're available on our website, whether they're resources that we send you through marketing, or when you're speaking to a professional. We offer these resources. For example, on the screen here, this is a rate card that we provide from USPS that reflects our pricing. So the pricing that we offer. And this is what you're going to really utilize to dial in that cost, to dial in what it is that I'm going to be paying for shipping, and how to minimize that. And of course, these are the prices that you want to reflect in your cart. These are the prices that you want your customers to see. So we utilize things like our rate card. We also do have the platform itself. We have a calculator available online. But really what you want to do is you want to figure out what it is more or less that you are going to pay for shipping. And that's what you want to provide your customers with. So of course, there's options with flat rates. There's options to provide rates by the weight, by the location. But these are the types of tools that you want to utilize to give your customers a general idea and a general pricing of shipping here. And myself, I've worked with people who utilize flat rates. That may not be the most optimal decision. There can be times when flat rate is good, but sometimes you want to go with the custom box, and you can pay up to half of what you may be paying with the flat rate. So really determining all the options. And then again, with the first thing we talked about, as far as what it is that you're shipping, are you going to utilize flat rates? Are you going to go in envelopes? Those are some of the things that are going to help you determine, the minimal cost that you're going to pay here for shipping.
Awesome. So once I've done that, I've figured out sort of what my pricing is. The next, step in the process is carrier pickups. Malcolm, how would you advise people to go about this in the next part of their shipping journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got everything figured out, feel pretty confident, have the right packaging picked out, actually have your labels printed, and everything's ready to go. With everything that's going on, maybe walking into a post office might not be top of your list of things you want to do. It's not convenient necessarily. Or even when times are normal, you have a lot of shipments, it's more convenient just to have the carrier actually come to you. And so with Shippo, it's easily facilitated. So in your shipments tab, you can schedule a carrier pickup with USPS or DHL Express. One thing to note is that you generally want to have about 24 hours. You can select the time frame in which the carrier will come to pick up based on their availability, but always assume that you want to give yourself a 24-hour cushion. So if you have something that needs to go out, it's something that's going out via like a one-day delivery or an overnight type of service, carrier pickup might not be the best solution. But for most general shipments, carrier pickup is a really good option. If you're utilizing a carrier through Shippo that is not USPS or DHL Express, Of course, you can still schedule a carrier pickup, but that would be facilitated directly through the carrier themselves, like for instance, UPS or FedEx. Another thing to note too, when you are doing a carrier pickup through USPS, there's something called a scan form or a manifest, which is something that's very, very helpful. So it is a log of all of your shipments for that day. So if you're having a pickup and you have, say, 15 or 20 parcels, you would have one sheet that would associate a barcode with all of those shipments. And the reason this is important, because as you can imagine, if you're the carrier, or even if you're taking a bunch of packages into a post office location, they have to individually scan each barcode to log that and start the tracking process. With the manifest or a scan form, it eliminates all those individual steps and just have one form to scan. So this is something too that the post office may require or refuse to accept individual shipments without a manifest or a scan form. This is entirely at the discretion of the local carrier or the local post office when they would enforce that type of rule. But it's a good rule of thumb to just go ahead and generate a scan form if you are doing multiple shipments that are being picked up or dropped off. And the awesome thing is you can do it automatically right within the Shippo platform, right in shipments next to where you schedule a carrier pickup.
Thank you for that glorious tip, Malcolm. That's super important. So when all that's said and done, one of the questions that we get often, most often of the time is, now how do I go about adding insurance? So I'm going to turn back to you, Malcolm, to answer this.
Yeah. So the great thing is, just as it's simple to schedule a carrier pickup or generate a scan form, adding insurance is as simple, if not even simpler. Within the Shippo platform, we've partnered with Shipsurance, which is a vetted third-party partner to provide insurance for our customers. So that is between 1.25% if you're on our PayGo platform, or our PayGo plan, or 1% if you're on our Pro or our Premier plan of the declared value. So for instance, if you're declaring the value of something at $1,000, it would be $10 to insure that. And so you can generate, you can select insurance through our platform, and you have a direct connection to a representative from Shipsurance if you do need to file a claim. So it's a very, very simple process, not a lot of red tape to jump through. Obviously, in situations where a shipment doesn't arrive or it gets damaged or something like that, it's a stressful time for both you and your customer. So the great news is with Shippo, adding the insurance is really simple. And the event you actually have to file a claim, it's simple as well.
Thanks, Malcolm. So as we're moving on through the shipping journey, one of the things that Shippo, gives you benefit of is the fact that we can give you access to over 55 global carriers. But as someone who's using the tool for the first time, Sergio, how can one optimize across sort of our plethora of carrier network?
Yeah, of course. And this is really huge. This is essentially part of our bread and butter and how we make our customers' lives easier. So this is what we do. We integrate, like Jen mentioned, with 55 plus different carriers. Out of the box, you are going to get options for UPS and DHL Express, which DHL would only be for international. But out of the box, without activating any accounts or adding anything, you're going to get those rates. And then we do also offer heavily discounted rates through UPS, which does require maybe 3 or 4 clicks in Shippo initially to get that going. As you can see in the GIF right here, and yes, I'm calling it GIF and not GIF, I'm sorry, but in the GIF right there, you can see the banner at the very top where it says you now qualify for UPS discounts. After you click that banner, it's actually going to auto-populate your information that you entered in Shippo. And all you need to do is verify that the information is correct, scroll to the bottom to agree to the terms, and bam, you have your very own UPS account that falls essentially under our blanket to enable you to have these UPS discounts. And really what this does is this optimizes your situation, because these rates that we provide, there's companies out there that have been around for 10, 15 years that have not been able to establish the rates that we have. And as somebody who's an entrepreneur or just starting out, you'll have access to these rates immediately. There's no volume needed. You need to build up. There's no history. There's no negotiating between you and the carrier. We do that for you, and we provide you with these rates right out of the box. And let's say you have your own accounts. Maybe you've already established negotiated rates with someone like DHL, with someone like FedEx. That's not a problem. You can connect those as well into Shippo through the carrier settings there. So instead of actually clicking on that UPS banner, you'd be able to click into my carrier account and then you'd be able to add your account with just some simple credentials there. And really what we want to do here is we want to have these options available. So what you want to do immediately upon startup is you want to take these instructions, activate that UPS account, and then start fulfilling your orders. This way you'll get relevant results immediately. You'll be able to see USPS, you'll be able to see UPS, and you'll be able to make the decision correctly. So whether you're looking for the quickest route or maybe you're looking for the cheapest route, these options are going to be relevant immediately. And just a quick rule of thumb here, why it's so important to have these two accounts is that they do specialize in types of packages. When you're going heavy, when you're going big, when you're going across the country, UPS may be a good solution. But if you have a simple package that's very light and may not be traveling too far, USPS might save you the most money. So what you want is you want the options there. That way you're not missing out on a good rate or maybe a quicker rate. But that's definitely how you can optimize right out of the box.
Perfect. Thanks, Sergio. So everything's off and running. I know oftentimes when I order stuff online, the first thing that I want to know is what is the tracking? When is it going to arrive? So I'm going to turn this over to you, Malcolm. How do my customers know when their package is coming?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think we're all accustomed, and your customers potentially too, are accustomed to having real-time accurate information from the moment they purchase an item as to where that item is and potentially when it's going to arrive. So with Shippo, we automate that process. So we provide tracking notification emails automatically for the customer email that's associated with the order that you're fulfilling. So you fulfill a package, a customer gets a notification that says, hey, look, a shipment's on the way. And then they get a tracking notification landing page that gives them the most recent real-time up-to-date tracking information. Additionally, too, an automated email goes out that notifies them that their package has arrived. So it's really convenient. If they happen to be out, they know, hey, look, a package is waiting for me when I get home. Additionally, too, if you're familiar with other e-commerce platforms, like say, for instance, if you're in like a Shopify or something like that, they have a similar type of functionality where they do offer tracking notification emails. So if you are already using something like that and you're accustomed to it and you like it, the good news is you don't have to replace it. You can select within Shippo to make sure that the information that you aren't replacing it with our functionality. So you can utilize the existing functionality within Shopify or some other type of platform. Shippo communicates bi-directionally with platforms. So any information from the order is coming in, and then any activity, for instance, like the tracking number or anything that you're doing within Shippo is getting communicated back to that platform, allowing you to continue to utilize those tracking notifications. Additionally, too, you can elect to have this process be manual. So if you don't want this notification to go out, you can have it where you just click to send the notification on a one-off basis to each of your customers. This is a pretty seldom utilized functionality, but if you want to do that, you're more than welcome to.
It's nice to have that option regardless. Thanks, Malcolm. Continuing on, one of the big things that often we get questions on is how do I handle the returns? So I'm going to flip this back over to you, Malcolm.
Yeah, returns are a huge consideration for anybody in e-commerce. In some circumstances, maybe returns aren't something that's applicable to your business, but in many instances, it probably is. So with that, you have to consider what's an easy process for your customer, and also too, what's a cost-effective and easy process for you as the merchant. So with Shippo, you have the ability to automate returns. We provide the functionality of using scan-based return labels, which means that you can create a return label to go with every single shipment that you send out to your customers, and you will not be charged for that label unless your customer actually utilizes it for a return, which is great. So what Shippo will do is we'll flip the sender and the recipient address so that your recipient now becomes the sender and you, the merchant, becomes the recipient of the return. So you can have that automated so it goes out with each individual shipment, or you can send it on a one-off basis. So you can go into your Shippo dashboard, create a return label, it'll generate a PDF, and you immediately email that to your customer, and you can facilitate a return that way. So really the choice is yours. If you want to automate it and have it go out with every shipment, you can totally facilitate that within Shippo and generate those scan-based return labels. Or if you have customers emailing in, or you want to have more of a discussion with them before you initiate a return, you can absolutely do a one-off, like per case basis right within the Shippo dashboard.
I definitely appreciate the fact that there's a lot of options to handle returns. So lastly, before we sort of wind down, one of the questions that we often get is, how do I connect my store? So Sergio, would you mind walking us through how to do that?
Yes, of course. So connecting stores, there's essentially two sides to this. There's a side where you have a store that is a platform that integrates, and then you may be in an instance where you don't have an actual platform that may be available as an option. So going with the first side, as far as having a store, we make it as easy as possible. Seamless is an understatement. So when you're initially in Shippo, you can easily crawl over to your settings, then go over to your e-commerce channels. From there, you're actually going to get a big list of all of the platforms that we have a direct integration with. So, of course, we're going to start out with Shopify. We do have Magento, Magento 2, Amazon, Etsy, you name it. It's as easy as finding the platform that you utilize, clicking on Connect. When you click on Connect, it's going to depend on the type of store that you're connecting. Some of them, for example, like Shopify, it's just going to require your simple credentials, essentially your username, email, and the password. Once you input something like that, it's going to ask for the permissions, and then that's it. You're ready to go. You can go back to your orders page, and in a short time, your orders will start populating into the store, or into Shippo, excuse me. In other circumstances, there may be a specific integration that will require you to generate an API key, or maybe it's going to ask for your store URL. But the good thing here is that we are going to walk you through the process. So whatever it is that it requires, Shippo will ask for that relevant information. And if it's not fully clear, we do offer guides upon clicking connect that will walk you through the process, and it will take you to the resource in order to get that relevant information. Now, maybe you're saying, Sergio, I don't use Shopify. I don't have a store. My people email me, or I take orders over the phone. That's not a problem either. If you get these orders, you obtain them, you put them into a file. Let's say you put them into Excel and you have a CSV file. All of that information in that file, you can upload that CSV into Shippo, and they will start appearing into Shippo as if you had an integration. So upon uploading successfully a CSV file, your orders will flow in, and it will be as if you had integrated a store. So you can go in, and the process is the same. There is no difference as far as fulfillment. But let's say you don't even do that. Let's say you don't have an integration, you don't use Excel, and you simply get them off of Instagram comments, or maybe you get things over the phone and you just want to immediately input them. That's fine as well. In that initial order screen, when you log into Shippo, on the far top right, you're going to see create a label. What this is going to do is this is going to enable you to create a manual shipment. So without an integration, without connecting anything, adding a CSV file, you can simply create manual labels as you need. And it's really as simple as that. We have a ton of different integrations with all of the major e-commerce platforms out there. And as we go, we actually are implementing a lot more frequently. So if you don't see something on there that is your store, you can actually scroll all the way to the bottom of those connections and request for an integration to be requested. So we're taking those as we go, and hopefully in the future, we will be able to support the majority.
Awesome. Thank you, Sergio.
Of course.
We're at the final moments of our session. I just want to thank everyone for joining. And I also want to give a huge thank you to both Sergio and Malcolm. They truly are experts in their craft. We want to let everyone know that during this time, as we help people get onboarded, we are waiving label fees, subscription fees to help during this time. And we will continue doing these Shippo service hours. We do them every 2 weeks. We'll include all of that information in the follow-up email, which you should be getting within the next 24 to 48 hours. So with that, thanks everyone, and we'll see you on our next session.